Hi, and welcome to the first episode of Clarity Spotlight. And I'm very, very lucky today to have in the studio Susie Fido, co-founder of Marketing with Ethics. So thank you, Susie, for joining us today.
My pleasure.
And so the purpose of Clarity Spotlight is my opportunity to shine the light on other people who are making a difference and helping people get clarity in lots of different ways, helping people to feel inspired to create the change they want in their life. And some of you may or may not know, but Susie Fido is my Facebook manager. So she's the lovely lady who creates these images like this. So if you think I'm really clever and I got it all together, it's because I don't do it on my own. It's because I say to Susie, this is what I'm doing. So at the moment, as I'm writing the book, I've discovered there's a character called the Time Monster, and this will be Susie's job to try and get it out of my head. Because I'm trying to describe it and then she's going to create it, and between us we'll have an iterative process to create those images. So Susie's the one that looks after my Facebook groups for me when I'm away, keeps an eye on people, gives people a warm welcome to the Facebook groups, and helps me with all my images, because she's so much quicker and faster at doing them, and she loves doing them. I love working with them. I love design, giving the ideas, but not so good at putting it all together. So warm welcome, Susie. The other reason for the spotlight is to get people on who have experienced overwhelm and have found their way to clarity. Now, some of you may well be my clients, and therefore you may have used the clarity process, but I'm also up for interviewing anybody else who's experienced overwhelm, who wants to be interviewed and ask questions about how you found your way to clarity and how you sustain it as well on a day-to-day basis. Because I really want to get it out there that overwhelm is normal. It's part of human behavior. When things get on top of us and we don't take time to stop and think, it happens to all of us, and each one of us, by sharing our ways of controlling it, managing it, etc., can help us to manage the critic and maintain clarity and confidence. So that's why I put all this together. So hopefully we were going to inspire people through your story and how you've turned your dreams into reality as well, Susie. So let me just start then. So tell us a little bit about you and your business, Susie.
We run an internet marketing business where we specialize in Google AdWords and Facebook, and we primarily target ethical businesses. If you imagine anything to do with building an eco house, so all the different trades and services that would be required for that. Also, we're really hoping to get in front of some non-profit organizations that are in receipt of Google grants. Because we are extremely proud to be the Google AdWords managers for the Born Free Foundation. It's a charity which is extremely close to our hearts personally, and the success that we've had with them, and literally sort of like, well, we started managing, the Facebook reminder came up a few days ago. We've been with them a year now, and we've had amazing results. So we do everything from the adverts for Google. So when somebody puts a search in the top of the bar, the ads that come up at the top, we create those for businesses. And also anything to do with Facebook. So whether that's advertising, management, imagery work, or anything like that. So we've been going as Marketing with Ethics 2.5 years.
Fabulous. So are you allowed to yet say about what the successes were with Born Foundation?
Oh yes, I've actually written the case study as part of my writing week last week. In the space of time that, I mean, we're looking from January this year to March, so the first quarter, which is the first period in the last year that we've taken over, that every campaign they have is created by ourselves. Because you're talking 56 campaigns, so as you can imagine, it took a while to slowly replace the campaigns they have. And in that first quarter, we have reduced their spend by 89.4%, and yet increased their e-commerce conversion rate by 1,234%. So it's just, yeah, it's incredible. Another thing with non-profits is a new criteria in order for them to keep their grant came in January, which meant they had to get something called a click-through rate, which is a percentage of clicks in comparison to how many times the ads are shown. And they had to achieve an average of 5% click-through rate. So many organisations out there, because they're trying to manage it themselves, are not achieving that, including Born Free. Born Free Foundation, David was doing an amazing job, but even then, when we look at the same period last year, they were only achieving just over 3%, and we're achieving almost 6%, which means we've also secured their funding for them. So that's another huge achievement for them. So yes, we're really excited.
Fabulous. So you talked earlier about ethical businesses, and obviously I'm one of your customers, but it's also about people who are ethical mindset, aren't they? The way that they like to do right by people, they like to do right by the environment, the animal welfare, etc. So it's people who've got those core values of actually caring about the planet as well as other people, rather than just in it for the buck, just in it to make money.
Yeah, we're very much about, obviously every business has to look at improving their bottom line. So we look at improving their bottom line, but also increasing their consciousness about the environment, even if it's just small things that they do. But on top of that, it's being ethical from how they treat customers, how they treat staff, where the supplies of their products, if it's a product company, come from. So everything from those kind of areas. So we don't look for anything that we feel is detrimental. But a lot of the customers that we've got at the moment are business coaches, solicitors. So a lot of people think ethical and they think, oh, I've got to be a tree hugger. That's not the case. There's many ways you can be ethical. And it's just part of the process. When we take on a client, we find out so much about them before we ever decide if we're a good fit for each other. Yeah. Because we have to match their core values as well.
Yeah.
So definitely. It's all about finding the right match.
Yeah. And I think also if people are worried that they're not ethical enough, I think if they've got it in their mind and that's on their radar, they want to be more ethical, then certainly for my time with you and sorry, but my printer's decided to start making funny noises. So rather than, I'm struggling, hoping it would just stop, but rather than that, I'm just going to turn the thing off. Sorry, can't concentrate with it going beep, 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 beep in the corner. I think it's gone off now. So it's still going. I do apologise. It's one of those outtakes, isn't it? I'll have to try and see if Liam can edit it. Oh, right, I think it's stopped now. Was the thing that I found being around you and Martin is because you are on this mission to look after the environment. It gave us the opportunity to have some really challenging conversations about what is good for the environment. And what was that campaign you did about was it one thing a day?
Start with one thing.
Start with one thing.
Even, start with one thing.
Just remembering not to keep the tap running when you clean your teeth, that sort of stuff. Those kind of things that I think that what I found being around you guys and having those conversations, and yes, I might challenge and push back and go, yeah, but surely that one does this. And because sometimes we go and do something that we think is more ethical, like sending videos out instead of Christmas cards, for example, and then there's a whole load of argument, isn't there, about electricity and how much it takes to produce things. So actually, sometimes our carbon footprint is not as good as we think it would be.
Yeah.
And I think the lovely thing I love about you guys is having those interesting conversations where we can challenge our thinking and go, actually, what is the best way to do it? And if we all did something, one thing every day, and we gave the day.
And a lot of the time, it's one thing that you actually realise doesn't have any personal impact on you, but if everybody did it, it would have an immense impact on the environment.
Yeah. Yeah, it was simple things like that, running the tap while you're cleaning your teeth. Mark does it now, and I'm trying to get the tap hot. He's like, it's hot now, you've got to use it straight away. It's like, okay. So, but it's all those little bits that have really been great being around you guys. So I think I just want to say that out to people. If you've got an ethical, maybe there's an ethical seed that's growing inside you, your conscience is starting to say, actually, I want to be better at this. When I will say to you, working with Susie and Martin, you'll just catch the bug. You'll start to recognise those things you can do differently. And it's nice to have those gentle reminders, those things that you can consider and things that you can do differently. So warm welcome and thank you very much for sharing a little bit about your business. So today we're also going to talk about clarity, and why clarity is so important. So clarity for you, that's like what?
I think the easiest way to describe it for me is because through doing the wealth dynamics, I'm a creator, so I'm really good at looking at the big picture. I know what the ultimate goal is that I want. I just kind of get a little bit muddled along the way of actually getting there. And I used to have what I call shiny object syndrome, that I could get easily distracted. There was a new piece of software coming out, or a new this or a new that. I could find myself losing myself. So I guess to me, clarity, it's almost like a roadmap. So it's like the destination, and the clarity is actually the steps you need to do to get to that, and to not kind of take off any diversions. Or if you do take a diversion, you know the route back on again.
So I noticed you put your hands like this, and you said it's like a roadmap. Is there anything else about that roadmap?
It's straight with the odd bend here and there.
And is there anything else about clarity when it's straight like that with the odd bend here and
there? It's clear. There's no other traffic around. It's a case of that. If you want to be distracted, I mean, what I found with me was I still get distracted. I still see things that I look at, but with the help of you helping me to get the clarity, this is what you want to do, this is how you do it. And then it was knowing what works for me as to the kind of work I do, the time of day I'm doing them, what days of the week. I know I've got those slots, and I now make time for those. So if I see something now, I might get 5 or 10 minutes into it and start getting a bit distracted and go, no, actually, that's Tuesday afternoon. I'll look at that tomorrow afternoon. And because I know I can look at it, there is a time to look at it, I'm fine, and then I'm straight back on it again.
Yeah. It's funny you should say that, because the character, the time monster that we're now developing for the book, that's definitely one of the things I've noticed, is that if we know when it can be done, even if we say I'm going to do that in 2 years, or I'm going to do that in a year or whatever, that's when the time monster settles down, because it knows when it will happen. And you being a creator profile tend to ask the what, and sometimes the who and the how, but not always the when. So that's one of the things I've noticed that you've really developed in your Entourage of questions, is asking yourself, when are you going to do it? And then that kind of settles the time monster down. And then we don't end up eating up time trying to distract ourselves with stuff that we're supposed to be doing elsewhere.
Which I was going to do an awful lot of before we started working together.
Okay, so I will ask a bit more about that in a minute, but because I know that time came in quite a big thing when we very first met, that very first coaching session we had, which was what, 3 years ago now?
Yeah.
3 years ago. So if you may not have called it overwhelmed, but I'm saying that the starting point is overwhelmed with we can't get what we want or whatever. You were, one of the things I remember is you had this vision to work, live and be in Kefalonia, which you are today.
Yeah.
Which is fabulous. So those of you who can't work out why the sun is shining in the background, that's because Susie is on this beautiful hilltop accommodation that looks over this great view. But we couldn't.
And the town is coming on already.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not jealous at all. I'm not. And you were saying to me that, it was 2 years' time. So your time monster, if you like, then was like, that felt that you had to wait 2 years. It's a long time off. And so there was definitely something going on then, wasn't there, in terms of perceptions of time and what could be done?
I think one of the big things right in the beginning, I mean, first of all, I never expected to get anywhere near the amount of clarity that I got from that very first session. Just simply having the post-it notes of what my daily routine is, and why does it have to be done on that day. So when you were challenging me, and it was like, well, actually it doesn't. And I found sort of like, before I was working with you, I was working 60, 70 hours a week. I was working six, sometimes 7 days a week. And I had less clients than I have now. And it was, we're not earning enough money. We had a benchmark for the goal. And the easiest way to describe it is like Martin said, it's like having a pie that's cut into lots of slices. And I got into overwhelm because all I looked was that one little slice, which was, we haven't hit the benchmark financially to go. What I totally missed was all the other slices were all in place. I had everything else that was needed. So instead of me thinking that's way off, I can't do it, with working with you and communicating better as a result with Martin, I actually realised that, hang on a minute, I've come so far, and that's just the final step. Whereas before, that was the be all and end all, and that was probably what put me into the overwhelm, because I'm not earning enough. We're not earning enough to do the goal that we want to do, and I'm working so many hours. I can't see me having time to take on any more clients in order to be able to achieve that financial goal. And it's just completely flipped on its head now.
So let's just go back to that feeling of overwhelm, because I think we often don't talk about overwhelm in public. We don't tell people what it's like. I think everybody else sees everybody else's Facebook posts. They see they're living in Kefalonia. They see them buying new cars, whatever people are doing. You sort of see the holiday posts, don't you? And you assume everybody got there, that they never had any troubles, there was never any problems. And we have this lovely pretty picture that everybody else has got it all sorted, and then we can feel quite isolated and like we're the stupid one because we can't work out how everybody else managed to get there. So part of these clarity spotlights is to demystify what overwhelm is like, and for all of us it's very different. So when you were just focusing on that one slice of the pie and you were working 67 hours a week, and you had this dream to be in Kefalonia and you couldn't see how you could get there because you couldn't at the time imagine how you're going to take any more clients on, that overwhelm was like what?
It was a huge weight on the shoulders, because it was making me feel like a failure. I was getting completely distracted because I had it in my head, I can't take on any more clients. I need to start looking at other ways to bring income. So instead of focusing on, actually, it is the old adage, work smarter, not harder. So, it was, I need to look at this, and that's when I then started getting distracted with shiny object syndrome, with all that bit of software. I could do that with the business, I could do that. And I was just all over the place, and I felt, it was almost like an octopus. There was like hands everywhere trying to reach out and just grab whatever I could, because to me, the whole thing was this goal. That was it. I had to achieve that goal. And it's the biggest goal I'd ever given myself.
And was that goal, the goal was to Kefalonia, or all that benchmark in terms of income?
To Kefalonia. I didn't quite care how I did it. Well, I say I didn't care how I did it. It was a case of that was everything I was working on was in order to try and get us out here.
Okay, so that was the biggest goal you've ever worked on, and you're a bit like an octopus and grabbing at everything, and shiny object syndrome, I think you called it. And now you've got clarity and a straight road with just the odd detour.
Yeah.
So what happened in between?
Well, there's actually now a few branches starting to come out, because I actually have more time now, even though we have more clients, because it's so much better structured. I've got processes in place. I know exactly who my ideal client is. I know exactly how to approach them. I know exactly where. Before it was just about, I need to earn this much money, and now it's a case of, I never even dreamt of, well, what about the day when I want to retire? Because at the moment I'm the only one that can do the business, so I can't sell the business. It won't be worth it. And it's now actually getting to the stage of thinking about exit plans. And just being able to branch off and looking at more ways of just enjoying the time, but still, we want a swimming pool out the side, so we still need to earn some more.
Yeah. And I also know that you want to run retreats. You want to bring people out there for marketing retreats, to share that beautiful space with people. You want to make the wisdom that you've got on how to get your ideal client available. So you're writing your book, you're looking at online material. Your ethical thing is that you want to make this knowledge available to other people. You want other people to follow their dreams and to make their dreams a reality. And yes, you want people with ethical dreams to be the ones that are getting the help and the support. So that's where it's coming from. So just talk me through from the octopus to the roadmap that's straight and goes off a bit, and now it's branching out a bit, and it even got a retirement and exit strategy you're now starting to think about. Whereas before you were just survival, just trying to look at the income for today. So what happened in between octopus and the branching out?
It was quite simply the clarity. It was having an understanding, and I think it was building confidence in myself, because if we lost a customer, it was automatically, oh, I'm rubbish at this, I can't do this, sort of like, maybe we should think about something else. And then when you actually start to think, any customer we've lost, not one of them has had anything bad to say. It's not anything to do with the lack of our support or what we've done. There's been outside factors with each and every one of them. So I was beating myself up for nothing, and then starting to have more confidence in my own ability. I mean, for example, you know, after 2 months of working with you, I then thought, I do know my stuff. And then I did my first presentation at a networking meeting. And it just, that was in January, you know, that was a complete light bulb. I stood there, I loved what I was doing, standing there, giving out tips, helping other people. And then all of a sudden, all these people are coming up to me afterwards. I didn't know this, I didn't know that. And it's like, because it's what I've known all along, I just automatically thought everybody else knows it as well.
Mm.
So actually realizing, you know, I don't just do the work, I am an expert in the work. And that confidence built, and it helped me to be much, much clearer with my message.
Mm.
And then when the right kind of customers started coming in and the business started to grow, well, it just absolutely, you know, sort of like exploded in January. And, you know, from then it was like, we can do this. And then it just started getting straighter and straighter. And you can actually kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel and say, we can do this, instead of beating myself up for what I felt I couldn't do.
So when we first worked together, that very first session, we Post-it noted out everything you wanted to do, and we were looking at how you work to your best, weren't we? Modelling to get you the process of how you do that when it works, and where were you and when would you do it? Because you're, like you say, you felt like an octopus, you're going all over the place, felt like you weren't getting anywhere, there wasn't a sense of achievement. So from that day, how long was it before you ended up moving to Catalonia?
I think actually that was probably about October, November, our very first session. And in February, I remember writing a blog for you, and at that stage, it was still going to be 2 years. And then we moved 4 months later. We moved in June. Yeah. I've got the tissues ready just in case.
And I think, yeah, or I say I think is a bit of a saying I have, I'm trying to correct it to I know that that even now you just totally appreciate where you are. It was something that was really important to you.
Yeah.
And you made it. So just for those who are watching, what kind of tears are those two?
Oh, extremely happy. I don't do this. No, it's as much as I love here, I mean, it's the most beautiful place that our whole life has just completely changed. You know, we have a life now. I'm not working 6-7 days a week, 70 hours a week. You know, we do so much more that we want to do for the local environment, for the local charities. But also from a business point of view, it's the biggest goal I've ever set myself, and to achieve a massive, massive goal, which, if I'm perfectly honest, 5-6 years ago was actually more of a pipe dream. It was, I would love that, but I mean, even my own children didn't believe it was actually going to happen. So when we actually announced that we were moving in 10 weeks, yeah, that was a bit of a shock to them.
And what do they think now?
Yeah. Obviously, sort of like we miss the children a bit, but we chat all the time, wonders of technology and everything. But everyone, each time we come back to visit, says, you know, I look healthier, I look happier. They've never seen me so happy. Jealous of the tan, jealous of the weather, but we do have our winters as well.
Yeah, you do. I have heard of your storms, and actually the reason why we're here and not on the balcony was because the fog was coming in. It just kind of I won't put bad karma out. I'm very happy for you. I am.
Well, you've seen how beautiful it is for yourself.
It is. Oh, well, we love it. We just haven't been able to work out. We've got so much travelling and sightseeing to do. Mark and I haven't worked out a date to get out to you, but I'm sure we will be out there again.
We're not going anywhere.
I know. So what's happening for you now as a result of this process?
I think because I was able to make our message so clear at networking, I think the biggest thing that's happened for us is one of my fears that I still had, even with the clarity process of moving here, was that I'm not there at the networking meetings twice a week, which I was doing in the UK, which when people meet me, they understand the passion I have for what I do. But it's sometimes difficult to put that across online. And my concerns were, you naturally do lose clients. was I ever going to get a replacement, any replacement clients? You know, is the business going to suddenly fall apart and then I lose my dream? And is it worse to have it and lose it than never have it? So I had all that sort of stuff going on through. But because I had such a clear message, and you know, I come back after 1 year and everybody still remembers me. But the connections I've got with people like yourself and a few others, we still get referrals. You know, every single one of the clients that we've got have either come from a presentation that I've done, so they've seen the passion that I have for it, or referrals from people like yourself. So it's just, it feels great to know that even this distance, we're not forgotten.
Yeah.
Quite difficult to forget me sometimes. But also the fact that there's also the confidence that other people have in my ability, as well as my own confidence.
Yeah. I think that's the key, isn't it? I think we all try and there's a sense that we want to stand out, we want to show that we're good at something, we want to be validated, and we have to work in partnership with people. And sometimes people avoid the partnership side of stuff because they think it might diminish their contribution, or they'll look more needy, or it won't be as successful because they've got to share the profits or whatever else goes on. But for you and I, definitely, I know we work closely with you, myself, and Karen, is that collaborations have been key. That's cemented us together and helped all of us to grow, and it's given people the other opportunity to do that as well.
Yeah, completely.
So what's working for you now to gain and then sustain clarity?
I actually tend to think of the 3 questions that you used to, in fact 4 questions. If I look at the main one, what would you like to have happen? I then do the what worked well, what didn't work well, what can you do to make things work better? So if anything happens which is something to celebrate, I will sit and go through that. And if something goes wrong, I will sit and go through that and go, hang on a minute, actually, if I did it that way, whereas before I did it that way and it worked. So I can get back on track and I recover. I wouldn't say failures, because I don't see anything as failure now. I see it as learning. You know, if you make a mistake, you make a mistake, as long as you put your hand up and say you've made a mistake. So I've learned so much to not beat myself up, and just asking those questions each time really kind of helps me to stay there. Or I just message you and say, I need to talk.
Hey! And just so you all know, I go to Susie, I need to talk as well. Because I'm not here that got it all together. I've got my network where I'm going, actually, I'm in overwhelm with this. And just having someone to talk to. And one of the things that we want to be doing now over the next couple of weeks is doing the coffee and chat campaign, where actually we all need somebody at some point to talk to. And I think the challenge with business is that we can often, I know for me, everybody was a potential client. And so everybody was somebody I felt I needed to put my best foot forward for. I had to put that professional forward. I had to look in control. I had to be someone they could depend on, because they were in crisis, they're in overwhelm. They're not going to come to somebody who's having overwhelm, because they're going to feel like I can't cope, or they're putting more on me. And actually, the reality is that being able to help other people, it can actually be another way of actually managing our overwhelm, because it reminds us what we're good at. It helps us contribute. We feel of value. So we all need somebody. I do always recommend you go and have a small group of people, because I think if we do a lot of it publicly, those who don't know better don't know that you can be strong and in overwhelm at exactly the same time. That you can be very capable at your job and have a weepy moment 5 minutes beforehand. We all have those moments. So it's having our network. And so I want to thank you while I can publicly for being my downloader when I need to go, I can't get these things out of my head. So thank you for that. The question I want to say is, what do you wish you'd known before you discovered the clarity process?
I think probably 2 main things. One, you know, sort of like believe in myself more. Even if it's something I don't know, I can either find out the information, or I still know 10 times more than another person who's not in that industry. So, you know, stop beating myself up. But I think the biggest thing I probably learned is, you can say a sentence and you say it to 5 different people and they hear it 5 totally different ways, and you automatically think they're hearing it the way you're saying it and the way you personally mean it. And I think the biggest lesson was with Martin. When we first did the wealth dynamics right back in the beginning, and I was sure he was an accumulator, because he always seemed to be, I mean, he can flip very well from one to another, but I certainly didn't see him as a creator. So we actually realized that where we weren't communicating well was because we both wanted to come up with the big ideas. But then it was actually the responsibility for someone to sit down and actually then get on and do the bits and pieces to get you there.
Yeah.
So again, we were losing direction because, you know, sort of both coming up with ideas for different things. And we just learned to communicate so much better. And I learned to listen to him. Because I had it in my head, this is what I want to do, this is how it needs to be done, and I know best. And that's not always the case, and it's okay to admit that.
So it's almost like there's two sentences, and this is my interpretation. You've got to believe in yourself and know that you don't always know best. And that is just a really good example of how we can have the way to move forward, the way to go. They can almost be in juxtapositions. It can feel like it's the opposite thing, but actually you need both in balance. A real solid grounding of what you do know, how you are progressing, what's working for you, why the other stuff doesn't work for you. Value that, because you're a big creative thinker, so you can come up with these great images. I give you a few words and you come up with something really, you know, that's, I think, oh my God, it must have taken you hours. And you go, no, it just took me a few minutes. Because it would be painful for me to try and do it. Whereas again, you could give me some pictures and I can put the words to it, because that's what I find easy. And I think we forget that our strengths will be our nemesis in different environments with different people. And it's being able to be, you know, honest about it and go, actually, that doesn't work for me, or that's not what's going to work for me. And it can be tough to have to say that, you know, that's not my strength. But I found personally, particularly with you and I working together, that's the empowering part. When you go, do you know what, I'm really great at this, and I can do that, but it'll take me a lot longer. Because I think most of us can do everything. It's just how long will it take us to do it, and what will the quality be? Because our life experiences don't.
It is the accepting help. And we have the same when it comes to anything to do with marketing. If a business is struggling, one of the first things they get rid of is marketing, when it's actually the time they need the marketing the most.
Yeah.
Now, if you're struggling to build your business and money is tight, that's the time when you need a business coach the most, to actually guide you through and get you there. So all the times when people go, oh, I really can't afford it, 9 times out of 10 is because they don't understand the value they're going to get from it.
Yeah.
Now, it's easier for us because from a marketing point of view, I can tell and say, well, what if I can give you a return on investment of 150%? Then you're not actually going to lose anything by it.
Mm.
But it's accepting that help. You know, by saying I need help and support is not a weakness. To me, I see that as a huge strength, because you're willing to accept that there are things that you need support with, and you concentrate on what you're good at. You get help with stuff you're not so good at, because you need all of it in order to get to where you want to go.
And I think the thing that I've come to realize as well is when you ask for help, you create space in your own mind, because you just take the pressure off, because you're not trying to fathom it out and it's not all stuck in your head. And when you ask for help, you also create a space for somebody else to step in with their wisdom, and for them to feel of value, and for them to make their difference. And I think if we all try and stay, I mean, one of the chapters in the book is independence is overrated. And if we try and stay too insular and we try and just do everything ourselves, not only do we deplete our own resources, but we deplete the resources of everybody else. We're not sharing, which is a lot what the ethical mindset and attitude is all about, isn't it? It's about making sure we're mindful of the impact we're having on other things and other people. Now, it might be physical resources, as in water, fuel, etc. But actually, if we keep everything to ourselves, whether it's our wealth, our health, happiness, all of it becomes here, we don't give other people the opportunity to join in and actually contribute and be part of the system. So thank you very much for your time today. Okay. We will make sure we've got all the links to with Marketing with Ethics. If you want to know anything more about Susie and how she can help you with your Facebook advertising and Google ads, please get in touch with her. And we'll be nagging her to get her book finished, because we want to know more about it, don't we? So thanks for your time today, and we'll speak soon.
Okay, thank you. Bye, everyone.